Hello, welcome back to another episode of Coaching Conversations with Nick and Chris. Today, we're going to be speaking to you and unwrapping the topic of empowering routines. Hello, welcome back to another episode of Coaching Conversations. This will be our very first podcast back for 2022. After January, most business owners are back into the role and scheme of things now. Just last week, the UpCoach team had a strategy day where we started to unpack a lot of what we want to achieve this year and get really focused for 2022. But before we jump into today's topic, Nick, how are you?
Very good. I got back from hanging out 3 days with the boys.
Yes.
Yeah, the boys. So that's always going to be really, really cool. So it's a good way to rekindle and hang out. And as you know, we're talking about routines. This is one of the things that we said this year is to hang out more because there's always something on with doing something. If we don't plan for it, we're never going to do it.
That's right.
There's always, kids and all of that stuff. And so, yeah, it was really good. We lazed around a bit, cooked a lot, ate a lot, drank a bit. Did a bit of water skiing, so it was all good. And did some kayaking, actually. And I haven't really been kayaking. There's 4 of us had those sort of fishing kayaks.
Yes.
Did a little bit of fishing, then got caught in the rain and did a bit of exercise. So
yes,
it was pretty good, man. All in all, it was really good.
Good. I love kayaking because it's providing you can get away from the community, society, I should call it. It's very quiet when you're out on the water by yourself.
Quiet, there was just 4 of us. We're floating around, talking, just talking bullshit. And you're this far off the water.
Yeah.
It was really good. And the water was really smooth.
Great.
Hot, then it started raining, so we paddled back. But it was good because you can get into places you can't get in there with a boat or whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what's cool. My mate kept on catching these little fish, and the fisherman guy didn't catch a bloody bite. So
oh, really?
You were hassling. That's what you do when you get together with mates. You just hassle each other.
That's good.
Lucky we've got strong skins.
Lucky we've got strong skins, and lucky there was food when you got back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I know. We would have gone hungry if it was just doing the catch. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's right. You weren't the hunters or gatherers.
We weren't hunters or gatherers. I can tell you that. So.
Good.
Well, maybe the whingers.
And the storytellers. Oh, that was one big fish.
It was massive. Yeah, jumped in the boat. Yes, exactly.
Jumped in the boat.
Exactly. That's funny.
Took 3 of us to,
Oh, man. Yeah, exactly. It was a whale. Yeah.
That's good.
Funny.
Today, we're wanting to get, involved and uncover the topic of empowering routines. What we mean by this is, at the beginning of every year, people either get into a routine or they don't. Sometimes, and I spoke to clients about this at the beginning of the year, where they jump back into the same driver's seat that they were in at the very end of last year. So they might get back from their holiday, jump straight in when they were traveling at 100 kilometers an hour and it felt out of control. Sometimes they jump back into that driver's seat and continue doing the same thing. So kind of wanting to pull the handbrake up to ask, what sort of empowering routines or different routines are we creating for this year? And if you create those routines, it's definitely going to be effective for you, whether it's productivity, efficiency, profitability for your business. What are you doing differently this year, and how are the routines that you're practicing in your business and even personally going to be empowering for you and for your business? So let's start with maybe we look at perhaps the weekly routine that you carry out, Nick, or what we do at UpCoach. What are some ideas? What are some things that we're doing differently, what you're doing differently this year?
Good point. I've written a couple of sort of areas down, but I think, there's a few kind of key areas, 3 key areas. And I think it's, you is number 1, business is number 2, and then others is number 3. And they're also split between what I call day routines and then life routines. And let me start with the life routines. This morning, it was 50 minutes of traffic to go and train with my new trainer in the eastern suburbs. And the traffic's just bumper to bumper. And this was at 6 a.m, right? And it's one of those things that I'm like, I train twice a week with him. And then, I do Krav Maga, which is the self-defense part of it. But with this particular other guy, Aaron, that I train with, it's one of those things that, to me, I want to try to make that a life routine. And what I mean by life routines is you need it for kind of your health of who you are. And we were talking about it today. A lot of business owners spend a lifetime working to make money, only to figure out a lifetime of spending all the money you made to try to keep you healthy, to try to spend that money because you've killed your life because you're so stressed and you made a lot of money, but now you need to spend all of that money on your health to try to put together the leftover pieces that are left from working.
Right. Let's slow that down just for a second. That's a really interesting point.
Yeah,
So
because
some people spend so what you're saying is a lot of people focus on career, burn themselves out personally, make lots of money, but then may be broken at some levels where their health is deteriorating, maybe relationships deteriorating, and they're spending that money they've made to rebuild.
Yeah, exactly. They spend all the money basically back to try to rebuild the health that that their business took. Right. And I don't know about you, but that's kind of a reverse engineering what you could be really. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like so you've got to first of all think about that. You've got to think about saying, well, how much of the life routine, am I taking away by spending all the time on the business routines, right? So first of all, I think, knowing your life routine is really important. Where do you need to spend a part of your routine, just making sure that the life part is cool? And it could have been easy for me to go, you know what, like, man, turn the car around, shit, I've got to travel all the way there, there's trainers that are closer. And it's funny, I don't do conventional type training. We do a lot of check stuff. And, I'm barefoot in the grass, outdoors in Centennial Park under a tree. Right. Like he's got some basic equipment there, and it's, I spent years in gyms and stuff, and I love it. I mean, just being grounded is really important. So, starting the routine like that, I know keeps me more energetic, keeps me more fluid, and just even doing it barefoot in Mother Nature is really, really cool. Just, it's a totally different feel. Humans are meant to do that. Like the soil's good for us, the grass is good for us, without getting too full on. But as a part of your routine, you should consider re-energizing routines, and these are energizing routines.
Got it. Okay, good.
I've got, one of my big toes is kind of jammed in this part of it, and it happened from when I had the Achilles rupture, putting too much pressure on the opposite foot, and it's really sore. And to move it around, you can hear it creaking and crankling, and it's painful. But funny enough, I pushed through it with that, and I've been doing it last sort of 4 times that I've been. And it starts to feel better now. I can actually bend my toe, and your toe's responsible for a lot of, your balance and all of that stuff. And, just being in the soil, in the grass, and that allows it. And you'd never do the same, because if you've got shoes on, you can't bend it like that. You've got to think about that. So first of all, what's a day kind of routine, and then what's a life routine? Now, I think it needs to start with you. And what I mean by you is, what personal development are you doing? And personal development is a big construct.
It's a big bucket. Yeah.
It's a big bucket. So the way that I think about it is to go, well, if personal development meant, what is it that you learn personally to self-empower yourself? I'm like, okay, so that could be one, personal development part. So the personal development is you working on you from a education source, right? Personal development. The other personal development, I think, needs to be your physical personal development, right? What are you doing physically to keep this body moving? And everyone knows it's really simple. If you can eat, move, you'll be healthy. That's how it works.
Right.
If you eat well, if you move well, you're healthy. So it doesn't need to be 24/7. That's all you do. And I think it needs to be 3 or 4 days a week. You're learning. You're moving around.
Yep.
You're eating well, drinking lots of water. These are just basic. That's another personal development. And finally, then, for me, meditation is one that
Mm.
I've built into my routine, and that's the spiritual side of me. So you've got the physical side of you, you've got the personal development side of you, that's the mental side, and then the spiritual side. What do
Mm.
you do? How do you, can you do a little guided visualization? Is it 10 minutes? It doesn't have to be 4 hours a day. It's 10 minutes a day. Morning is good, evening's good. It's that, just breathing. A part of this workout that I do, we end with breathing, just
Right.
breathing in and breathing out. We very rarely just do breathing, right? It's, one of my clients sent me this Wim Hof method that
Oh,
a
yes.
lot of people are into now, and I want to get into it. Or and it's really about controlling breath. So when you think about that, you're like, well, it's pretty basic. You've already got kind of what you need. Mm. You already kind of got the blueprint. Mind, body, and spirit. Just do a little bit for those three. So that's kind of the you routine.
Mm.
Right? I
Mm-hmm.
think that's important. Right?
Great. What's the next area?
The next area I think is business. I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, more than likely, business is what you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think about it like that. I think there needs to be an education component for all your team.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by this is, how are you empowering the people that actually make your money? How are you empowering the people that actually contribute to the wellness of who you are?
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, if they're not contributing back, or you're not giving, enough to them, how would you expect that they are going to give back to you? I mean, to me, I think when you plant seeds, they start to grow. And, with us, one of the things that we've been doing, or what I've made a commitment to this year, is that I spend time with you guys as coaches. I spend time with the rest of the team. I spend time educating you. I spend time being on sessions together. I spend time, and, if you're a different business to this, how are you spending time nurturing the people that actually nurture you? Because it's a two-way street. So team education is very, very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
I think the next part to the business is, how are you working on making it more efficient and better? And I think you could have a routine, whether it means that it's technology, how do we use software to make life easier for us? New parts of innovation, how do we innovate ourselves to be better at what we do and how we do it.
Yep.
I look at, how do we time manage better? I think that's very, very important. How do we, use the latest of tech to be able to scale, tech to be able to connect with, all of these, things. But, I think it's important, for us to be able to use that level of innovation in order for us to really connect with. It's important to keep on pushing you forward in the business. You can't rest on like yesterday's marketing. You can't rest on yesterday's sales strategy. You can't, you know what I mean? So that's important. Yeah.
Right. Good. So carving out time each week to actually look at how we improving our systems, how we improving our people, how we improving our efficiency. Ultimately, how are what we're doing better this week than it was last week? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I think it's important to take the time out. A lot of people are always caught in the day-to-day or the week-to-week, and they don't stop often enough to perhaps troubleshoot or think out of the box in relation to actually solving some of their greatest challenges. They will maybe commit a small percentage of their time to solving a challenge, but they're not really dedicating enough of their time to completing the solving of that challenge, if that makes sense.
Exactly, Vic, because if you don't set up routines, you're always doing the same, right? I mean, not many business owners have a regular team meeting with their team every week.
Yep.
Most of the people in construction wouldn't do it, I mean? But it's very important because, and if you don't bring innovation to it, it means you're going to do the same stuff over and over. Now, I don't mean innovation that you need to be Elon Musk building, rockets. But I just think, even if you ask the question, hey, what could we do better this week than what we did last week? And if you think about that, that you could maybe time manage better. You could order materials better. You could
Yep.
get somebody to deliver that. You could be more
Mm,
efficient online. You could,
mm.
use software better. You could even go, hey, like maybe work smarter rather than harder today. So routines don't need to be traditional how they are. I exercise at 6 a.m. till 7 a.m. I mean, that's
Yep.
cool to do that. But the routine could be, let's be routine about talking about innovation, because
Sure.
just that discussion, we know today, if you want lifestyle, you can't keep doing what you were doing before, because if
Mm,
all you did was work, and you kept on doing the same stuff, it's never going to get you any different to what you've been doing, right?
mm,
So
mm. So I think, just as an example on the upcoach side of things, we have a team meeting every Tuesday. So that hasn't changed. It happened all last year. It's happening all this year. But we're also factoring in coaching meetings every Monday. And that kind of started today, actually. And then we're factoring in an element of training. And that's part of our innovation, looking at how do we improve the coach's ability? How do we get them to learn more, learn a new skill, adapt to a new process that we can then provide to our clients. So this is, again, we're not um, reinventing the wheel here. We're just looking at how do we do things better than we did it, say, last month, last week, last year. And we're making that a routine. So every Monday, all of the coaches already have that pre-booked into their calendars, just like they do their team meetings. So even in your own business, if you're listening to this or watching this, start thinking about how do we improve our processes, our team, our training, our skill sets, and how do we do this incrementally every week? That's the routine that I suggest that you start embedding into your calendars
yeah,
some way.
correct. I think that's very important,
Mm,
because that way, you can be proactive with it and productive with it,
yeah.
right?
What's the last area, Nick?
The last area I think is others, and what I mean about others is, I just said before, went away with the guys and stuff like that. This week my wife's gone away with her girlfriend. I think relationships are really important. The relationships
Mm,
with the people that you love.
mm,
So and that could be your kids and and your wife or your husband or girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever it is, your mistress, whatever it is, it's relationships that are very, very important. I think,
yep.
having that as a part of your routine is critical, because some people, they get into work, like we were saying, and all they do is work. They've never got any time.
Mm,
Oh, it's too hard to hang out. They come home at 9 o'clock at night.
yep.
Kids are already asleep, as an example, or, their wife's passed out on the couch, and no wonder the relationship at home isn't too good. And by the way, I think sexual relations are very important as well. I think a lot of business owners, they're tired all the time.
Mm,
And if the husband and wife are both working in it, or
mm,
whatever it may be, or if you're in a gay relationship, whatever, it doesn't matter. Like if you don't set aside time to be intimate with somebody and
mm,
to have that, I guarantee you, if that routine isn't set up
mm.
at some levels, and people go, oh, how can you routine that? It's like when you're in the mood. It's like, yeah, I get it, but I mean, if you look forward towards something,
Sure.
today's Valentine's Day,
It
actually.
is. Yes.
If you, and by the way, I'm not a big thing on Valentine's, because I know you pay ridiculous amounts of money through for roses and all of that stuff. I don't need that to buy presents for my wife and stuff. But I think it's the little effort that somebody makes to appreciate you. So I think having routines for appreciation is
Mm,
very important, and it's the same with the kids. If you always go, no, we can't go to the park, no, we can't go for a drive, no, we can't, it's like, man, those routines are more important than the bloody work parts of it. Because at the end
mm,
of the day, it really boils down to that. And, you've got kids, Chris, like I have.
mhm.
And, my son's 16 now. Like, it's not like we're still hanging, but now he's working, he's got stuff. He goes
Yeah.
to the movies with his mates. They go
Yeah.
out, they go into the city. I'm starting to see all of that stuff. And I'm like, hey, man, remember the old man, And he's 16. And once he gets his car license when he's 18,
That'll be it.
I wasn't hanging out with the old man at 18, like
Yeah,
hanging out
right.
with the women and the dudes, right?
Sure.
It's that shift, that's the routine for him then. So
Yep.
I think it's that now, and and what I mean also with others, from a business point of view, it's networking is a very good level of routine.
Mm.
Most businesses stay very insular.
Mm.
Oh, to mate, I just go to work, I do my thing. I don't network, I don't hang out. I don't go for an award, I don't go for, and I think they're routines that you need to set up because it's good to know what other people are doing. It's good to
Yeah.
know, you know what I mean? Like so.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
And this is just a slight segue, but in the Dalai Lama's book, The Art of Happiness, he talks about the need for intimacy at a human level, base human level. And he said that all humans, and he doesn't mean intimacy in terms of like, relations with a partner or a lover. He's talking about intimacy in relation to a connection with another human being. And he says, in order for anyone to find a true level of happiness, you must have some level of intimate relationships with others. So I think that's a really good point that you brought up there, Nick. And I think about creating a routine, whether you plan to go to a networking event or you plan to spend time with family members or friends or your kids every single day, every second day, every week, whatever that frequency looks like for you. It's an area that is, or is an empowering routine that you can set up that will actually provide you with a great level of joy, most likely, but it'll also create a happier version of you if you do so, week
Exactly. I
on week.
think, well, I think as humans, we're connective beings, right? So it's
Mm,
important for us to do that. I don't need to go away with the guys every week,
mm,
but, I like to speak to them maybe once a week, once a fortnight, depending on what
hmm.
we do. One
Yep.
of my other mates, I speak to him pretty much every day, and he rings me every day.
Yep.
An important time for us to be able to do it. And it's good to just chill out and just catch up, and I think, those routines soul developing, and I
Mm,
think it's important. So even though you've got the you routines and then the business routines, I think the others kind of go, the fruits of my labor allow me to do this. And or
mm.
even if you're not making money, you can still go and hang out. And that's why a lot
Yep.
of people have things like sporting routines that they do, the coach for their local soccer kids team, or
Mm,
or the, head of the Boy Scouts or whatever. It doesn't matter. I mean,
mm,
it's all of those things. Humans like to contribute,
mm,
and it gives us something to do with our time, right? Like
mm.
I think it is, like being in clubs. I think clubs are good for people. Allow you to bond with other people that you love hanging out with,
Mm.
that share a common interest. And your business is like a club too, isn't it? You're hanging out with your staff that share a common interest when you really think
Yeah, I
about it.
guess it is
I mean,
to
look
a
how
certain
we all
extent.
get along. We like the same stuff. We're into the same
Mm,
stuff. We
mm.
enjoy caravanning and,
Yeah.
cars and bikes and, all of that stuff. And we like to, education's a big part, reading's a
Mm,
big part,
mm, mm.
and I mean, even with yourself, just talk a little bit about reading, Chris, because I think it's
Yeah.
very important to see what that can bring from it.
I think reading's so powerful. It's almost like the ongoing process of learning and absorbing knowledge. And the reason why I read, not only for enjoyment, but also to learn things so that I can disseminate them in my own way and then teach the clients what
Mm-mm.
I'm learning. I'm kind of learning. I'm the medium almost, but it's expanding my perspective on things. It expands my knowledge. Like at the moment, I'm reading this book by Dr. Joe Dispenza
Oh,
called
yeah.
"Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself."
That's a
Like
great
it's.
book.
I was recommended this. Actually, one of my clients was reading it, said it was really good. So I'm kind of getting into it myself, and I might only take away 3 or 4 big principles, but those 3 or 4 principles I'll be able to use in my life, hopefully use to impact other people's lives as well, or provide impact for other people's lives. And I think it's the routine that's involved with that is every single day I read at least something out of that book. I might only get 1 page out of it, but that's okay. It's an extra page that I'm working through. It might be a chapter, it might be 2 or 3 pages. Generally, when I'm eating, I'm reading because, and that's
Mm.
at lunch, by the way, not at dinner. Um, I've got to eat. I could eat and think or eat and stare at the fridge, but sometimes I just like to eat and read. that's the routine that I practice every single day, or try to practice every single day. And it provides me with a great deal of contentment, being able to read, but also I'm learning on the way through. So I think it's just about prioritizing how much of a routine I want that to become.
Mm.
And a big
Yeah,
part of routines that we haven't really spoken about yet is discipline, and making sure that you actually implement it. If it's important to you, you're going to do it, or you're going to get it done, or you're going to do it regularly.
yeah,
That's how I
exactly.
see it.
It's interesting because, I was talking with one of my clients, and he said, we're talking. I said, some of my clients, they look at how much time you spend with them versus what they pay you.
Mm,
And I was talking with him, and he said, I've done enough personal development to understand that it's not the amount of time I spend with you. It's the one thing that you say to me that allows me
that's
to
exactly right.
go on. And, we've been able to book 1 year in advance of work. We've already hit our goal. In the
Mm,
first 3 months, we've hit the year goal.
yeah, right.
And there's so much more to come. And, he's hit a whole bunch of personal goals and a whole bunch of business goals. Like all of these things, I think, are important. You know what
Mm,
I mean?
mm, mm,
And that I said, well, how did that come to it? He said, man, it's because I've read so much, I've thought about
mm,
things so much, I've
mm,
learned so much, and I've personally developed myself. And you can see the difference between somebody, you know what I mean, somebody that spent time working on themselves like that
mm,
versus somebody that hasn't spent any time
mm,
working on themselves like that, and
mm,
that's a
mm.
routine.
Yep.
Because once you get into a routine, it allows you to be able to connect and, do what we do, and you just get better at it because, you know, the more you learn, the more your mind
Mm.
expands. I think it's very important, so.
Yeah, very good. Let's summarize the episode, Nick. What are the 3 key areas? Where are the focuses for people, I guess? What do people focus on, I guess, leading into empowering routines across their life
Yeah.
and business?
Yeah, look, I mean, like I said, I think there's a difference between a day routine
Yep.
and a life routine. Life
Mhm.
routine, something you're going to do for yourself to be better. And usually you're probably going to think around, personal development,
Yep.
physical, spiritual, mental, emotional development, life routines.
Right.
How can I become a better father? Well, by studying to become a better father, by
Yep.
acting to become a better father, by doing to become a better father.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think you've got sort of 3 categories. It's around the you.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you need? Your routines for you.
Yep.
The next one is, what does the business need? What does your team need? That's very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third one, I believe, is, the others routine. How do you hang out, give back, do what you need to, all of these key areas, I think they would be very critical of connecting with self and others, and, being able to be in a position to, make sure you've got a balanced routine, a balanced outlook. You can't be working all the time, like we spoke about with health. If all you do is spend all your time learning how to make money in business, I guarantee you'll spend the next part of your life spending all the money on trying to cure yourself,
Trying to learn how to get better. Yeah.
how to get better,
That's right.
and it's crazy like that, right?
Mm.
When you look at it like that, you can definitely, you probably already know people that are that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Spend a
I mean,
lifetime getting sick, and now you're spending a lifetime making the money that you made to help you not get sick anymore.
Wishing that you'd done things differently to a certain extent.
Like that's how it is, isn't it? And you see it. Oh, Bugger died, 2 years after, retired from his business. It's like, yeah, man, maybe you should have thought about that before, while you were just killing yourself trying to
Yeah,
make
that's
money.
right. Very much so. Guys, if you need help with any form of empowering routine, starting one, practicing one throughout 2022, reach out to us, askitupcoach.com.au. Happy to get on the phone, have a quick chat to you to see how we can help and provide some help. Otherwise, we'll see you and hear you all again, or speak to you, I should say, on the next episode of Coaching Conversations again very soon. Just before we go, thank you very much, Nick.
Thank you, sir.
We'll see you all again on the next episode. Bye now.
Bye now.